Hi, my name is Dan Mitchell. I'm a licensed psychologist in Central Vermont, and I'm going to instruct you on how to do a resourcing skill grounding technique called the cross crawl. And this was taught to me by an EMDR clinician named Barry Litt. And I have found it extremely helpful for people who need grounding, either for hypoarousal, such as dissociation, or hyperarousal, experiencing panic attacks. It involves 4 phases, as I call it. This is a little bit of a variation of how Barry teaches it, but it's helpful because you don't have to use all the 4 phases of this resource. So I'm going to teach you 1 phase at a time, and what happens is that each phase will add on something as part of the intervention. So you'll see that as we do it. So the first phase is just simple bilateral stimulation using your feet. Now, because of my camera, the way that it's set up, you can't really see my feet. But what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you just press your right foot, the sole of your foot, into the floor. If you're in the room with a patient, you can also ask them to tell you what the color of the floor is it carpet, and this helps them to orient to the room, especially if they're outside of their window of tolerance. So you're going to press your right foot gently into the floor. And then you're going to press your left foot. And notice how your right foot comes up naturally as you push your left foot down. And right. And left. Right. Left. Right. Left. At any time, the person that you're doing this with, you can ask them, how are you doing now? What's your SUDS or your 0 to 10 disturbance level? Are they back in their window of tolerance? And you can ask that at any time. You want to be attuned to them, so if you notice a shift in their affect or their body, it's a good idea to just occasionally ask throughout this intervention. So at the end of each phase, at the very least, I'm going to do that. And if they are not back in their window of tolerance, if they're not grounded, then I'm going to move on to the second phase of this process. You're going to have them continue to press their right and left feet into the ground, alternating right and left. You're going to have them continue to do that, but you're going to add breath work to it. And the breath is going to be matched to whatever foot you are currently pressing into the floor. So if you are pressing your right foot, you would have them inhale. And then when they push their left foot down, that would be the exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now, if possible, you want to pace them so that it's nice and slow. If they're in hyperarousal, their breath might be fast, so you want to meet them where they're at, but consciously instructing them and doing it with them. So that's phase 2. Again, at some point, you can ask them how they're doing. I rarely end up moving on to what I call phase 3, because at this point, they're back in their window of tolerance, they're back in the room. And by the way, you can do this virtually. It's a little bit more challenging, so I would instruct you to make sure that the camera is, that you can see the patient's whole body if possible while they're doing this exercise. If they're outside of their window of tolerance, they may not be able to do that. Work with what you got. But this is something that I teach to people if I anticipate that there may be some dissociation happening throughout our work together. Okay, so phase 3. So you have checked at the end of phase 2 and they're still outside of their window of tolerance, you would move on to phase 3. So you're going to continue to press with the feet. You're going to match it to the breath, but you're going to add something to it. You're going to add, on an inhale, you're going to do the opposite elbow. So if they're pressing in on the inhale with their right foot, you're going to have them bring their right elbow to their left knee and exhale. What you will find is that it will naturally, whatever leg they press down, you will naturally have them go to the other side, like this. You are also going to continue to have them do the breath and match that breath to their feet, whatever foot they are pushing into the floor, and you're doing an elbow to the opposite leg. Sometimes people do the opposite, where their dominant leg, the one that they're pressing into the floor, is the one that they bring their elbow to. That's fine. Either way, I want you to practice this and see how it works out for you. Because sometimes people find that the leg they're pressing in is the one they anchor, and then they bring their other elbow. And other times it's the one they like to lean this way. It does not matter, as long as it's coordinated. You're taxing their working memory, right? Okay, so if they get through this phase and they still need to do some grounding, then what you can do is do some nice slow eye movement. So this typically works easier if they're in the room with you, but I have done this virtually as well. So they're doing all their things, right? But what you're going to add is eye movements. And so when they're over here, your wand or your hand is over here. And so you are having them look. You're having them look the opposite way of wherever they're leaning with their elbow. That is the cross crawl as I use it. And I have found it highly effective for people who are outside of their window of tolerance, especially with dissociation. So good luck. Feel free to look at my other videos on my channel. And if you like, you can follow me. And I would appreciate if you like my video. Take care. Have a great day. Good luck.